Message for a long time, weeks, and neither one of them said a thing.
Did you ever think of saying anything?
No, because I don't think that Michelle's reaction would be received well at all. I wish it could have been different. I wish it would have been an adult conversation with the four of us. When I did ask Michelle, why didn't
Hey guys, welcome to Little Blackburn 91. Listen, we're going to talk to you guys about Married at First Sight. Let me be very real, be very honest. Ikechi, finally, you have admitted what we all have known. One thing you can really bet on a reality TV show is that when a man mistreats a woman, in most cases, they're not narcissistic. They just don't find that woman attractive, but they've got some very mean and nasty characteristics. And Ikechi's one of those people. They move on very, very cold. And because of their inability to express how they really feel, now we're doing stupid stuff. Now, let's be honest. I'm not going to be honest. I'm not going to I'm not gonna pretend as if this was an easy conversation to have. To let somebody know that you don't find them attractive, I totally understand it. I get it. I'm with you. It is not the simplest thing to do. But what we need to start doing is mistreating people in general. And Ikechi mistreated her to a point where he started saying things that were not in alignment. And I'm glad that she handled him the way she did this time, right? Especially around the issue around sex. Okay, all right, because we discussed this last time as the boys, and we discussed this and said about how he cannot come out and say that she was doing all this pressuring when in reality he's the one that made a sexual advancement, and then try to label her as a predator. And I said that Ikechi is dangerous. You can't do that. If a woman was to do that, I would be very angry. I would be very annoyed. Don't be labeling me and insinuating that I'm a predator. This is a label that never goes, right? So when Ikechi did it to Emem, I was very disappointed, right? And all of this shenanigans for what? Because you didn't fancy her. Why didn't you say that? That's all it required. That is all it required. And for me personally, whilst I believe that Ike was able to tell the truth, do I believe he's fully changed? No, because the apologies were rubbish. Ike, Madison, David, all their apologies were trash and in the bin. Listen, I've supported David, I've supported Madison, and I love a bit of dark arts. But what I will also call out is when an apology is not an apology. When that apology lacks any depth, and when the apology actually lacks any kind of empathy attached to it. When I can see that your apology, you don't know that you're not really apologizing for me. You know what I'm saying to you? You're apologizing for optics. You're apologizing so you don't feel guilty. But the apology isn't because you know you've hurt me. And I saw that from Madison. I saw that with David. I saw that with Ike. Their apologies are trash, right? Ike is having to be pushed to apologize. Bro, you didn't realize you mistreated this woman for a whole year? You didn't realize that you were off pocket? Right? You didn't realize? For me personally, I'm looking at these apologies. I'm going, that is absolutely trash and in the bin. Now, we saw Ikechi with Emem, and I want to talk about his particular aspect because I think this was such an important conversation to have, right? I'll even play a little bit as well.
I'm not going to lie.
Right.
I am very vocal, direct. That was part of our issue. But even how you're telling him he should have spoken up and him saying he wished.
Okay, so there was an issue between Ike, obviously, and Emem, and in this issue, Ike was, talking about how he didn't speak up when he had issues, right? So he had issues with the way that she did certain things and didn't speak up. So what was I supposed to do? When you don't speak up and I tell you that, and I'm telling you that you're hurting me in a way that you're doing, and then you don't tell me that what I'm doing is affecting you, what am I supposed to do that? And then you go ahead and you mistreat me, whilst I believe that's passive aggressive, whilst I believe also very much so. Okay, while I must admit and so, okay, all right, that there are some real issues that you may have gone through. The fact that you couldn't treat her correctly like a human being should is the biggest problem I have with Ike, right? So if the work has really been done after a year, I should see someone come out and be like, you know what? Look, I know that there are some issues on your side, but look, from my side, let me be real with you. I apologize. The way that the way that I've dealt with things, the way that I handle things, the way I saw things, I know I did wrong. That should have been the response from Ike coming into the situation, realizing that he had contributed towards the carnage and that the person in front of him was hurt because of what he did. Now, does that rob the fact that Emem is annoying? No. Does it rob the fact that Emem is probably anxious? No. Does it rob the fact that Emem could be passive aggressive? No. But what you do is you own what you do. You've had a whole year and you're still in the same place. And this is why I said that people who do this kind of stuff, most of the time, when they're cheating and when people are mistreating you, they don't really care. The people that care, come back and apologize to you. Okay? Right? The people that care, come back and apologize to you. Right? But the people that don't care won't come back with a sincere apology. They won't. Right? Still making excuses for their behaviors. Let's play a bit more.
If he would have spoken up, it would have been nice to been on the inside.
You lived a life on the outside.
I was on the outside.
You was on the outside looking in on your marriage.
Yes, I was.
What was going on?
Yes.
And still, Ike's head is all dangling in the background, like he want to moan, he want to complain, but he's at this place where he's trying to keep a certain image up. Like if I'm a woman, I wouldn't go anywhere near Ike. I'm sorry. Like this, women need to be like men. Okay, now there's some foolish men out there, don't get twisted. But when you see somebody's acting stupid and mad, this is not time to come and do a project. Okay, leave that project alone. Ike is a project and he needs to sort himself out because there's a lack of accountability in the situation. There's so much lack of it that it's scary. And it's not to a point where it's like, oh, I believe there's a psychopath. No, it's not that kind of one. It's more of a case of I feel justified in what I did. And I think that's more annoying. You know what I'm saying to you? Because in what essence do you feel like you are someone that you feel justified, that you didn't contribute towards a relationship breaking down, that you didn't contribute towards a person, this person was in pain? Now, don't get twisted. I didn't back Emem in those letters, but the reality of the situation is you are a problem. People like Ike are unaccountable individuals. And people who are unaccountable like this will hurt other people because they refuse to see what they did dirty. Now, am I saying once more again that we don't have things in our closet? Listen, if they bring out my closet, I'm gonna be apologizing for a very long time. Okay? If I'm apologize, hey, they bring out my closet, I'm gonna be apologizing for a very long time. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? But the reality of the situation, he's not sorry about it. You know what I'm saying to you? He's not sorry about it. You know, and that's just what it is. You get me? That's just what it is. All right.
When you hear that, though, what will you take to your next relationship that you already have? What have you learned from this relationship?
I've learned to love as hard as the other person loves me.
Now, shout out to shout out to Emem. I actually have at first point and call, I was a bit scared for Emem, but her answer was giving me hope. The fact that she answered the question and said that she knew she likes to like people way too much. She does too much. She's too much on them. She likes them more than they like her. I love that response. It's like, baby, thank you. Some self-awareness is important. It's needed. I hope you continue that growth. Okay? I hope you're continuing moving forward in that growth. Okay? Because I was like, that's one of the biggest issues that you had. But now you've worked on that. Fantastic. The future relationships should be better because you will realize that you need to match the energy a little bit. It's not about being restrictive, but it's about understanding that let's work our way there. Let's take our time. Let's be consistent. Let's not rush it. You got what I'm saying to you? Let's get it there. You feel me? Right? So I think that's very important. Very, very important. Okay, that's very, very important first and foremost as well. So I was happy with that answer.
Me.
Is there anything that you wish you could have done differently?
Inside, I want to say I wish I didn't try so hard.
And that's right. You shouldn't try so hard, baby. That's the problem. That was the problem. But we're thankful. We're thankful that you can see that. We're thankful that you know that is something that you need to work on, because that was a major issue with her. And I'll do a deeper breakdown a little bit later on in the week about that situation, because I think that's an important fact, that she was way too much energy into something that didn't need to be into something that wasn't worth her time in essence as well. So I'm glad that she learned that aspect as well.
Relaxing away.
Oh, I've been relaxing. This is a year ago.
Okay, all right. Catch us up on what you're doing today. Have you been dating at all?
I've been dating.
You say you're dating. You want to find that right woman.
Definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Yeah, he's been dating, but he's still in the same position. He ain't changed. But let me get to Madison Allen's situation, because I want to talk about her as well. Her and David, honestly, they don't realize they've done anything wrong. And Madison's answers are always trying to protect herself rather than taking the full-on accountability. That's my problem with Madison at the moment.
It's complicated, and hindsight is, 2020.
It sure is. Trust me. Seeing it all later on, it is.
Okay, so Madison's biggest issue that I have with Madison isn't the fact that she cheated. My biggest issue with Madison is that she's lying. And I'm not talking about lying to Michelle. I'm talking about she's lying to herself and trying to lie to us. Like, since we didn't watch the whole show. This persistent lie, because it really is about her ego. And when I say ego, what I mean by that is her image of self. She looks in the mirror and she is struggling. Let me say this right. She's struggling with the idea that she is not a bad person. This idea of herself actually existed before she did this to Alan. I want to say it straight. This viewpoint of her being a bad person is already existing before she did this to Alan. And what's happened is she's actually done something bad, and she's struggling to make sense of the fact that she's done something bad and not being a bad person. Because the human individual does not want to think of themselves as being bad. So what I see every time that she's explaining the situation, she wants to explain it from a perspective of, I was trying, I was really making, no, baby. Stop. Stop lying to us. Stop lying to yourself. Be free. because it's going to do you a disservice. If you don't learn how to be free and emotionally safe to admit what you actually wanted, you are going to consistently do this in future relationships where you're not being honest. I need Madison to be honest. You didn't want Alan from the jump. I'm just going to be real with you, right? That brother done told you, okay? All right? That brother done told you that when he was even touching you, okay, that he felt like you were, recoiling. And the reason why you were recoiling is because you didn't find him attractive and you did not want him to touch you. Now, we can talk about how you might have wrestled with the idea. Do I think that you wanted to cheat on him straight away? No. I think you wrestled with the idea of whether this person was the right person for you for a very long time. You tussled with the idea back and forth in your mind. And then David presented the out. But the reality of the situation was, let's be freaking honest, because what you're really fighting for is, I'm a good person. It's okay. You're not a bad person. You did a bad thing, but you're not a bad person. Let it go. Be free so that you can fully admit what really happened here. What really happened is, Alan, you looked at him, you said, you know what? I know he's a nice guy, but I'm not super attracted to him. You said, I'm going to try and give myself some time. I'm going to try and make it through. I'm going to try and make this relationship work. I'm going to try my best because you know what? He's a nice guy, and nice guys deserve a chance. But the reality of the situation was, you tried and you could not do it. And you could not do it because it wasn't in you to do. Right? It's not in you to do. It's not in you to do. Right? And that's okay. But be honest about it, because every time we see you, even a year later, you're still making excuses. And one part that really frustrated me about Madison, specifically that annoyed me, is that when she was talking about she kept on focusing on, and she'd done this last year in the episode. So this has really been amusing. That a whole year's gone past and you still haven't deeped it, Madison. I get it. Michelle, yes, we know, did not want David. So let's leave that alone. But why are you trying to make a distinction as if you were trying and others weren't trying? Why are you trying to make a distinction between Michelle and yourself about who's trying? Yes, Michelle didn't really try. I ain't going to fight you on that. But sis, just because you were nice does not mean you were trying. Oh. When you were double-minded, you wasn't really trying. What you were trying to do was try not to be the bad guy. That's all. And in your mind, what was really happening is, I know he's a nice guy. I'm going to try. But really and truly, you weren't there. Really and truly, you were never really there. And it's okay to say, you know what? When I look back at it now, it's been a whole year. When I look back at it now, you know what? Alan, here's an apology I owe you. I really wasn't actually trying. I know that in my mind, I was saying that you were a nice guy and you deserve the best. And I should have, been wanting you, but I just couldn't want you. And unfortunately, where I was, I couldn't even be honest about how I really felt. And that is what caused me to cheat on you. When in reality, that's the reality. That's the truth. That is the truth that she needs to come to now. Because it's been a year, sis. Come on, wake up. Smell the Kenko coffee. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. This fight that you're having about your own ego and about whether you're a good guy or bad guy, you're not a bad person, Madison. Let it go. Someone needs to tell you. I hope you took some therapy within that year. You're not a bad person. You did a bad thing, and separate the two so that you can be free to tell Alan the truth. I touch you and you recoil, you don't want me. Let's be honest. Right? We're still trying to maintain image. Let it go. Sis, we've seen you in your baddest light. Let it go. Stop trying to fight. And, her trying to be pally-pally with Alan has got nothing to do with Alan. It is to do with her own guilt. And you see, this is the manipulation that happens. She really isn't avoidant. I know this, and I know because I've done it myself. I'm telling you from experience because I know I've done it myself. So I know what it looks like. Right? You do someone so dirty, right? But you're trying to befriend them because you feel guilty and you're afraid that if you ever see them every time, you're going to feel guilty for the fact that you know that you did something wrong. And you don't like the fact that it feels like they have a one-up on you because you've done something bad to them. So it's almost like you feel like you owe them something. That's a trauma response. That's something you need to deal with. It's a trauma response. And that's okay, sis, but you need to heal quick because this consistent trying to put someone else in a framework when you are the one who's in the framework is problematic, right? I need you to wake up, smell that Kenko coffee. David, I need you to wake up and smell that Kenko coffee with all types of flavors. I'm talking vanilla. I'm talking camel tea. I'm talking cherry. I'm talking strawberry. I'm talking all types of flavors. I need to smell it, wake up, because reality needs to hit. Am I saying they should be together? Not at all. What I'm saying to you, a year on, and we fully can't take accountability. A year on, you don't want to do the work. Look, I'm having regrets every day about some of the behaviors I did in Egypt. I can tell you that for free. I can tell you for free. I'm still having regrets about some of the behaviors I did in Egypt. I can tell you for free. Listen, so when you start growing, you look back at some of your old behaviors and you're like, damn, that was bad. I ain't like that. When you've grown, you look back at some of the things and say, oh, that was childish. When you've grown, you're like, oh, that's not befitting of me. Now, David, for me, David, just like Madison, some of the apologies are weak. You know, I shot my shot and went for it. I'm not saying don't tell the truth. What I'm saying to you is, where we didn't truly, everything about David is just like, I'm not really, really sorry.
It's like sneaking off with David. The only time that David and I were actually together was
What do you have to say?
I definitely was shocked to
Hold on, let me see if I can
Come
get
here
the
and be
clip
like,
where
Like
David
new
was
life.
talking.
And the new light came, it was just, I thought you would just drop it. Like,
Oh,
obviously the
you don't
first
know
one.
me,
and then-
David.
Was he talking to anybody? I'm like, no, I defended you. Like, I'm like, they're not that type of people.
So this conversation with Alan and him at the very beginning, you know, I looked at it and I said, listen, it's crazy. It's crazy. You know, I'm like, David, you hurt your if you're saying this is your boy, this is somebody that you cared about, right? If you're saying that, okay, and if you care about the person, you know they've hurt them, right? The apology just has a level of empathy to it, which I didn't feel like it was there. Like, you can feel when someone's like, you know what, bro, I've done something wrong here. You know, I've made mistakes. I've done some things that weren't good. You know, I can see where I've made my mistakes. I know and listen, I'll be honest with you, if I did it again, I still wouldn't come and tell you. But the truth of the matter is, I wouldn't have done it in the first place. That's the truth. The truth is, I wouldn't come and told you. Let's be honest. Ain't nobody coming to tell Alan. Ain't nobody doing it. Let's be freaking honest. Most of us aren't doing that. We're not gonna go and tell Alan. But what we can do is, I don't want to do it in the first place, right? I could have waited to the end of the season, had a conversation, then did it. You know what I'm saying to you? But you ain't going. You know what I'm saying to you? That would be a real apology, because then I know you're being real. But this apology, I'm sorry, bro. Like, you know. It's like, it just feels so empty, and a lack of really understanding that, you know what, I violated my guy. I violated him. Look, I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying come out the strong delusion. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it can't work. All I'm saying is come out of the strong delusion. I've cheated before. I've been cheated on. And I know the mindsets. So when I see people doing certain things, I know that you're not being fully honest. That you're not living in your full truth. And that, again, we all have our stages to that. But yeah, for me, it ain't it. It ain't it. Well, at least now he's got a rental property and he's living with Madison. So they seem to be doing something good. You know what I'm saying to you? He need a little bit of direction. She gave it to him. I'm not mad at it. Listen, hopefully they continue in growth and continue winning. You know what I'm saying to you? Hopefully that will be something that they can continue doing it and escalating in future. Because look, yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's a lot right now. Do you know what I mean? I'm sick and tired of their nonsenses. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I'm just tired of their nonsenses. It's like, if you're gonna be sorry, be sorry. If you're not gonna be sorry, don't be sorry.
And that's the part.
When you got the story about,
hold on.
You know, after everything transpired together.
so you moved into Madison's spot.
Yes. Actually purchased a house, an investment property.
You know, after,
Wait, hold on now. Let me see my boy David. Okay.
everything transpired, and we found the timing, and it's worked so far. Yeah, no, I'm
Now, I do have a thing for David. I do have a thing for David. I'm not saying. I won't say it's smoke. I'm not gonna say it's smoke, but just a little something. Now, David, before he went on the show, a day before he got married, a girl hit him up, said we matched, and then after, I mean, listen, hey, timing, everything's timing. So I'm not getting onto him. I'm just saying time, everything's timing. Do you know what I'm saying to you? But the girl obviously messaged him beforehand, and then obviously, it came about that obviously he said he stayed in contact. That's the part that really got me. He said they stayed in contact. How? That's my only thing. He said they stayed in contact. I said, how? It sounds a bit weird. Like, how do you stay in contact when you married? How do you stay in contact? Because the wording "stay in contact" is what's throwing me off. If he said, listen, we reconnected after I got married, after I got divorced, then it makes sense. But it doesn't make sense to say we stayed in contact. To stay in contact means we're having some conversations in between the time. Now, I ain't trying to accuse my boy Adam of anything because he got done dirty. He did. I'm just saying. I see my boys are coming up as well. I'm just saying. It just felt a little bit weird. Hold on, let me go back.
I got like a smile.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'm dating. I'm out there.
Yeah. You're in a relationship, though.
Yes,
This
yes, I
is
am.
a relationship.
Wait. And who also clocked that Juan is in a relationship already, Juan is in a relationship. Yeah, that boy did not like that girl. That boy did not like KARLA. I mean, listen, he did not like KARLA at all. In fact, I have a statement of his on It's2. He commented on another YouTuber's page. Shout out to Easton. He sent me this as well. But he actually, and I'm gonna read it out to you guys because I'll read it to you guys. So shout out to It's2. It Takes Two. YouTube. They do reviews as well. So shout out to them as well. But he actually commented on their page. So I'm going to read his response to you. Hopefully I can bring it to the screen. But Juan's in a relationship, my guy. Juan is in a relationship.
How's that going?
It's great. It's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, it really is.
Let's talk about you. You're dating.
Juan is in a relationship, you my people. Okay. He definitely weren't feeling KARLA. But let me just show you. Why can I do it? How do I? Okay, hold on. Let me share my screen because you want me to see it. My statement, I wrote it. I copied it. So listen, by all means, forgive me, guys. It's just that I copied it and I couldn't. Yeah, it's because my screen is going a little bit wild. So hold on. There's a lot to read, and you probably want me to read it. So let me just. Damn, he wrote a lot. I didn't realize he wrote that much. He wrote a lot. Hold on. Damn, this is gonna be a long read. Woo! He wrote a lot. My boy wrote an essay. God damn. My boy wrote an essay. Shout out to It Takes Two. It Takes Two YouTube as well. Again, once more, they're the ones who he commented on. But this was interesting. That he said this. So he says basically, I don't know if you guys can read. If you can't, I'll read it out to you. Don't worry. He says, "Hey guys, first off, thank you for taking the time to put this together. I openly received the criticism and I appreciate it. I hear you. You all feel like I robbed KARLA of an opportunity, but I challenge you all to look at it from another perspective. I signed up for a social experiment called Married at First Sight, which is literally how they market the show, a social experiment. So basically, the premise of the show is to get married to a complete stranger who the experts match you with. You live with a stranger for 8 weeks and get to know them and see if there's enough there to continue on a marriage, which is exactly what I did. There's no contractual obligation stating that you must respect, love, cherish, change, etc. that person. Every person that signs up for the experiment handles it however they choose. When I signed up, I had been single for 2 years. I saw they were casting for a Chicago season, so I thought it would be an interesting way to potentially meet the love of my life. But again, I reiterate what I said on Reddit. This is a reality TV show, and the company that produces the show is for-profit entity. This show is made for ratings, so I wasn't going to be hung up if they didn't match me, as you can clearly see from our participants season after season, which is why I chose to make the best of my experience regardless of what was thrown at me. I like to dig into the comment that I robbed KARLA of this experience. I have no issues with Karla. Like I said on Reddit, I think the world of Karla and her family and wish her nothing but the best. With that said, if you look at it from a different perspective, I didn't rob Karla of anything, and she also didn't rob me of anything. I did exactly what I was supposed to do. My focus was not on the physical because I know that beauty isn't enough to gel anyone past one night. Plus, if I was just looking for someone beautiful, believe me, I never had an issue, even with a bald spot. So I wouldn't even have went on Married at First Sight. When I saw Karla, yes, I thought she was beautiful. She was nice, face and eyes. But physically, she's not my type. Well, that's the start then, isn't it? Man, that's the start already. So I continued forward to get to know the rest of her. And as I got to know Karla, I noticed she really was into crystals, burning Palo Santo, astrology, cards, hugging trees, etc. Basically, she got demonic practices. That's what he's trying to say, Brad. Yeah, I hear it. Things that I'm just not into just because my mother does but just because my brother does tarot reading doesn't mean that I like that lifestyle. My mother is a diehard Catholic. Your mother is not a Catholic and doing tarot reading. I'm so sorry to say it, brother. We need to call your mother out. No offense, but the two don't go and mix. I'm tired of people who are Christians and mixing demonic practices. The two don't mix. Mixing Jesus and mixing the blood of demons. My guy. Anyway, sorry. Let me chill. So going back to what she said, my mother's a diehard Catholic. Doesn't define me either. The next thing I noticed was that she let her lease run out, and I actually helped her move all her stuff to the storage unit. Oh, it's looking like it's given. Okay. I get it because she saved on rent, but for the purpose of the experiment, showing responsibility and stability, not the best move. I also noticed that Karla didn't own a car. Well, some of you were getting onto Cisco about being homeless and no car, and you're absolutely right. But Karla is exactly the same. Okay. Which I was like, okay, whatever, but I guess I'll be driving. Again, I continued forward without judgment and conducting myself with respect. Then a week later, Karla gets let go from a salon she was working at because she didn't see eye to eye with the owner. Oh, so she didn't even quit. She got let go. Damn. Again, not the best look when you're trying to show a complete stranger that you're worth a long-term investment of time and love and energy. As we continue to live together, I noticed that my spouse didn't really care for cooking. As I did all the cooking, in one of the episodes, you can actually see how she didn't know how to turn on a gas oven. So wait, hold on, because when Sean comes, I need to ask him about weaponized incompetence, about how a grown-ass individual doesn't know how to turn on a stove. I remember distinctly this argument happened on Love is Blind. Sean, where are you? Come out wherever you are, because you were the first person talking about somebody can't turn over the stove. I needed to come out. Because Sean was on our necks, especially mine when I was fighting him about this issue. We gonna war and tussle. Where are you, Sean? Where art thou, Shawnee? Shawnee, where art thou, Shawnee? Where are you? Because you were saying somebody who lived in their own parents' household and could not turn on the stove. Where are you, sir? Where are you, sir? We need you now, sir. Come and save your Karla. See where we'll do tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do see where tomorrow. See where we tomorrow. We'll do see where tomorrow. Anyway. So yes, as I was saying, I noticed that my spouse didn't really care for cooking, as I did all of the cooking. In one episode, you can really see how she didn't know how to turn on the gas oven. I also did 75% of the cleaning. Oh, she's looking like a dusty. I'm sorry. Can't cook, can't clean, getting let go of jobs. She's looking like a dusty. Oh my God. Anyway, let me chill. Also, did 75% of the cleaning. Fine. I moved on respectfully getting to know her. Lastly, we spent a lot of time together, and there was a lot that you didn't see, but I was turned off by her attitude behind the scenes. I'm sure Karla could come up with a laundry list of things she didn't like about me, and I'm totally okay with that. I'm not perfect, but again, the reason we both said no on decision day, why wasn't I intimate with Karla? For starters, I'm not desperate. I don't need to go on a show to get laid. Secondly, I did care about Karla's feelings and allow myself to be intimate with Karla without feeling anything at all would have complicated things between her and I. Also because that just wasn't my focus. If I'm not mentally, intellectually, or spiritually into you, trust me, I'm not going to be physically into you. Why did I take to Reddit to ask for a favor? I never begged anyone to do anything because I didn't think there was anything wrong with it, considering I've been reading and listening to people trash talk all of us for the last 6 months. I felt like it was kind of earned. Luckily, 98% of the folks on the thread were super supportive and cool. I also took the time to thank everyone, single person, answer questions, and address criticisms, which took a ton of time out of my day. When I signed up for the show, I was just hopeful for any other participant, but I also had extremely realistic expectations, and I wasn't going to let anything or anyone kill my vibe. I'm sure all of us, Karla included, and anyone that signs up for a reality TV experience is also open as myself to doors those experiences may open. And rightly so. After months and months of criticisms, judgments, etc. No, not complaining, by the way, because that's all we signed up for. Finally, to all the haters talking about I want to be an entrepreneur, businessman, I've worked extremely hard for everything I have. I bust my tail every day, and I have a 6-figure job plus uncapped commission. I also have a company, Franco Millwork Lab Design, which has done 469K in sales in the first quarter of 2025. And I also have the app, which was a vision that I had and pursued, unlike most people that are too afraid to chase their dreams. Believe me, I make sacrifices, but I don't struggle. My intention with this response is not to put Karla down. I know a lot of you love her, and I think that's awesome. My intention is to clear up why we didn't drive from perspective. And this is what I observed in 8 weeks. And I was only responsible for making an assessment of a stranger I was matched with in order to make a decision. Not to bring up all these things to try and change them. Again, I think Karla's great, but I think her family's great. I wish Karla nothing but the best in life. Well, well, well. What do we have here? What do we have here? She looking raggedy. Where were them ladies that were there last week in the chat? Where's Lyndon and them men? Them men were dragging JUAN last time, talking about JUAN's got a scarcity mindset. He's all of these things. Where are they now? Where art thou? Ladies, where art thou? Sean, where art thou? Where art thou, are you? Can't cook, can't clean, ain't got a job, ain't got a car, is in a storage unit, sir. We need a town hall meeting. Hear he, hear he, hear he. We need a town hall meeting. Sean, where are you? You're in the chat. I need you on the platform. Stop hiding in the conversation. Get on the platform because we need you right now, mate. We need you and the Carlians to come out because we done told you about the dusty... Oh. Sorry. Just had to blow the dust out my face and my eyes and my nose. Okay. The dust is collecting. Okay. Like we said, dust is not specific to a gender. It's when you're dusty, you're dusty. It is what it is. If you're dusty, you're dusty. Trying to get a free ticket out here. When you're dusty, you're dusty. I'm just... You know what I'm saying to you? The Carlians, where are you? Let's be having ya. Where are you, Carlians? Huh? Where are you, Carlians? Appear to me now. A gas stove you don't have to turn on. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. Okay? All right? That's it. Y'all were talking. Hey, I'm only saying it because Sean was on my neck, specifically my neck, and you know I'm gonna go 1-to-1 with Sean all the time. I'm always gonna fight him. He was on my neck about old boy Nick from Love Is Blind. So I'm just getting back. Because he talked about people in people who are in homes and they're in basements. Someone hasn't got a home. They're in a storage unit. I need the same energy. I need that same energy that you had for Nick from Love Is Blind. The same energy for David. I need that same energy today for Karla, who is a dusty, it seems like. Yeah? No car, no job, storage units, getting fired from her salon, trying to do hair in the household. Oh, no. Where are the Carlians? Where are the Carlians? Where are the Carlians? My boy done it. I appreciate him breaking it down for us as well. Let me bring on some of my boys. I'm going to bring on Demand Them to have the conversation. Woo, baby, the dust is collecting. Oh, my God. Oh, he's telling me, Trey, what are you telling me? Hey, Sean going to join us in a second or two. He needs to defend the Carlian.
Look, we told you. We told y'all. Y'all called me again. Everything outside of my name and a child of God. And I told y'all, but no. I told y'all. And see, I come here every week and I'm like, I see. I was right again. Look, I ain't going to be right maybe at that exact time, but I'm going to be right sooner or later. And I was right about this.
I'm not mad at it, bro. They need to admit defeat on this one. This is dusty behavior. If a man was to do half the things that she did, can't turn on the stove, can't cook, isn't cleaning, isn't able to keep a job, okay, start doing hair in the house, okay, gave up her lease on that house as well. Now we'll definitely be looking at that man as a dusty. And of course, I'm not saying that men and women are equally the same. They are not. But there are certain behaviors that we have to call out and say it's dusty behavior. It's dusty behavior. You can't cook no clean. Now, since we're going to be holding men to a financial aspect of which I believe in, she can't cook nor clean, and she want to burn the ghosts in the house. Oh yeah,
man.
Trey, we say
Carla is about to send us back into COVID. Where's my mask? Where is my mask? Because this is ridiculous. I started sneezing when you started reading the letter. I was like, oh my God. Oh, I need some NyQuil. Jesus Christ. This is what? And the funny thing is, yes, we've been saying this. We've been feeling this from this woman. I'm sorry, y'all. Listen, I know you like Carla, but let's just keep it all the way real. Carla is lazy. At the end of the day, this is
lazy is the right word.
It's just what it plain it is. I'm just being real. This is when you can't argue with. She is just a lazy individual. That's it. Anything else is fluff that we're going to put on her. But you cannot take the laziness from her. It's just lazy.
And to add insult to injury, all y'all was talking about boundaries and how she's good if she's within her right to create boundaries, and she wasn't vindictive just for her to be friends with Juan and go to get coffee with him. I'm telling y'all, she was being vindictive in the moment because she knew what Juan wanted.
Preach.
You can see it in her eyes, but again, the sisterhood, y'all gonna find somebody who y'all like, and mostly because she's pretty, and then y'all gonna project, and that's what y'all gonna put forward. But I'm telling y'all, she did that in the moment because she was upset she didn't get what she wanted. Boundaries, I'm all cool for it, but Juan, in my opinion, never did anything that was. You create boundaries because either you're trying to keep somebody out or you're trying to keep something in. You're either trying to keep somebody bad out or you're trying to keep something good in. Juan didn't do anything bad to her. If anything, they over here sharing ideas about businesses and drinking coffee and stuff like that. That's somebody you want to have on the inside. But she knew what Juan wanted. He wanted a friendship. He wanted to keep things cordial and amicable. And she said, "No, I know where you want it. We're gonna be vindictive and say no friendship to you." But again, Sean, how do you respond to this? Because you was over here defending Karla, and she's about the dustiest person we've seen. At least David got a rental property now. That boy that bought Baltic Avenue. He'd have bought him some Monopoly spaces. Where's Karla doing?
Are you done? You know, are you guys done?
Nah, we ain't done, but you go ahead.
Thank you for your permission. I appreciate you, Trey. Listen, you think that little comment section, and I watched that video. I saw it. And I don't know if you mentioned the creator's response to that. They still disagree with Juan and know that he came on this show for, selfish reasons and not to be married. At the end of the day, no one has ever disputed Karla's lack of job, her instability. So I don't know why we're renegotiating that or relitigating that. It's always been a fact. It's always been a fact. So it's not we haven't learned anything new here. And anytime we see somebody else's, claims online, the first thing anyone says, including you, Kojo, is we need to hear the other side. This is only one person's account. This is Juan's account. This is Juan's account of his experience with Karla. So there's also another side to it. And meanwhile, all these things that he felt so comfortable putting on the YouTube channel in somebody's comments, he didn't say this stuff during the process. So if that's how he felt, then he should have let that be known to Karla. And if he really was coming legitimately on Married at First Sight, which is a process to get to know a stranger and have a trial marriage, then you work on things. You realize that you're going to get somebody that's imperfect. And the same way that you guys caped for David from the hilt because Michelle didn't want him, and because, God forbid Michelle didn't give him a chance, Juan should have given Karla a chance. to work on things, to tell her the things that, you know, were things that he would want in a wife and give her a chance to be those things. But no, he didn't disclose that. He didn't fully, he tried to pretend like he really was working on things, and he wasn't, because he knew at the end of the day there was nothing that Karla could ever do to be the person that he wanted. So he's fake, he's phony, he's disingenuous, and then coming online trying to write some thesis statement to try to get somebody to support his business.
He gave
Real
her
quick.
8 weeks. He gave her 8 weeks. This is show not tell. We on TV. Sorry.
And to be fair, Sean, if he would have been like, "Hey, Karla, I would appreciate if you got in the kitchen and started and made me some menudo," that ain't fits to work. Not in 2025. You see how people are ripping them to shreds now. If you would have been like, "Hey, get in the kitchen," or "I would love to see it if you made me a meal," or something like that, it wouldn't be carried. It wouldn't have been translated well to TV and to the masses, and even to your relationship. I mean, I think that he did the best that he could. Again, from this past Sunday, I was able to go to the Love is Blind live reunion showcase. And after talking to everybody, I said, it opened my eyes to a completely different aspect of how people are preparing for these reunions, as well as how they're taking their experiences, whether it be in the pods or with the social experiment like this. And I just think that they're super calculated now. I'm sure Juan knew that he probably couldn't say this stuff to Karla or have it on TV or record it and it be translated well amongst the masses. So I think that that's probably what prevented a little bit more of the honesty, because he seems very honest now, and he's been saying that from the get-go. He said foundationally we weren't the same, and financially he didn't think that it was smart that she quit her job. I think he said that a couple times during the show. And my initial thing was episode 5, 1 hour and 7 minutes in, that bus ride. If you want to watch it again, I'm sure you wouldn't want anybody that you're dating, or anybody, your daughter, anybody that you would surround yourself with, to be talking like that if you were dating them. And so I highly recommend people go watch episode 5, hour and 7 minutes, hour and 8 minutes in, and watch that bus ride again.
Well, listen, look, there is a right point, Sean, right? Yeah, we definitely want to hear the other side. So so I definitely hear you on that. We'll not celebrate too much, because we have to hear from the Karla side. But because Karla obviously said what she wanted, and obviously, we didn't get to necessarily hear what Juan's real reasons were. And actually, some of the things he said, I think we've already speculated that those are the things that were actually going to be an issue, right? For instance, we knew he already said the spiritual aspect, because he mentioned that the foundational aspect is very different for him. He doesn't do the spiritual stuff. He actually did mention that particular aspect. Now, the cooking and cleaning, I don't remember that part. I don't remember him mentioning that, and should have been mentioned, right? So that is an aspect we have to say that he should have actually really been more vocal and should have let us know, right? Regardless of whether there was going to be pushback or not, he should have been more vocal. That looking for him, how he sees it, he would like to have the woman cooking a bit more and cleaning a bit more. That's something he should have said. I don't remember any episode where he kind of said that, so that's something he has to hold on to. Okay. Now, of course, the losing of the job situation, right? The losing of the job situation as well. I think that particular perspective, right? We saw how we even reacted on this panel, right? That as soon as she lost her job, we're expecting him to cover, and it's like it's unstable behavior. And I think that was a little bit scary for him. But we mentioned it. We mentioned that this will be probably an issue, that she lost her job. Now, if I don't know if again I can't remember if they had a conversation about that particular aspect in terms of the job, her losing it, and his fears around it. I think he should have been a bit more vocal around his fears around it, that aspect, and maybe his frustrations around her. I remember they had a conversation about it. He asked her what plan does she have, and she said she's going to then do her hair thing or whatever, right? So I totally understand that perspective as well. That could have been spoken about a bit more. You know what I'm saying to you? So I wouldn't say he's fake for not saying it. I would say that he's more lacking in assertiveness to be able to really mention it as an issue, right? At least that's what we saw on the screen. Do you know what I'm saying to you? But some of the things he's talked about, we've mentioned it, that it would probably be a problem. You know what I'm saying to you? I think it'll be a problem. In the way her general demeanor was, he said her attitude to things, like, hey, we mentioned it. we mentioned about those things are going to be an issue, that no matter how attractive the person is, there are things that you're going to do that are going to cause you not to be liked by the other person, in a sense. But I think the major thing is, like, he really went hard on that foundation of the spiritual aspect. That was a major thing. I think he just doesn't do that kind of thing. And so yeah, I think there are some things that he could have mentioned a bit more stronger and worked on. And I agree with you on that part. I've mentioned that there should have been more of those conversations. He should have been more open to that. So I definitely had that. The other aspect is that I do think he mentioned some of the things. So I can see what you're saying in that, Sean, on that respect. Yeah. I don't know if Trey wants to say something. If he's there. Yeah, go for it, Trey.
Hello, I said what I said. We've been right about her since she first popped up on screen. She's likable. I think she's cool, but she is problematic. And as the show went along, we saw the laziness in her. Again, everything else is fluff, but you cannot discount the laziness that she projected. That's just it. It is fine. We said since the beginning, this couple is not going to work. She is not the woman for Juan. Juan is not the man for her. And there's nothing wrong with that. They just told the line to the very end, kept it cordial, and kept it moving. The only reason why Juan started writing this whole letter in the first place was, he was getting ate up online. For what, though? Which is the funny part. For what, really? So he was like, you know what? Let's set the record straight right quick. From my perspective, what was actually going on. And Sean, you're right. There's two sides to this. Karla can come with her side. I can almost guarantee you, though, some of the things Juan wrote, seeming like what did or did not happen, she's not gonna fight against, because that happened. It's gonna be other things she's gonna list, but it ain't gonna be what she was lacking of. We ain't gonna hear that.
Do you want to respond, Sean?
I mean, I don't really know what there is to respond to. My argument was always that I saw value in the things that Karla brought to the table. And I saw Juan as being somebody that was fake and disingenuous and not really going through the process. That was my argument. So I'm really not sure what we're supposed to be relitigating here. They clearly weren't a match. So yeah, I never said, oh, he should be with her. That was never my fight. I just said, I think I like Karla. I saw value in her. I liked her takes. I liked how she stood on business. She told it like it was. She seems to have a good level of discernment. She seemed to be a fun person. So those are the things that I liked about her. And I saw value beyond the things that she was lacking. I never thought like, oh, yeah, it's great that she doesn't have a place. But I did see, like, clearly she's been sustaining herself prior to this. And you guys were pitching that, oh, she just needs Juan for a come up, when she still didn't choose him and he didn't choose her. And she's just fine. I said, we were talking about her business and the fact that the type of business she has is one that she can sustain herself and continue to take care of herself. And from everything that we've seen, she's doing just that.
I don't think we've ever said that she can't take care of herself. I just don't think that she can take care of. I don't think she's in the position to be a wife or a potential mother to your kids, or somebody that you can feel like comfortable with starting a family. And that was the biggest issue I had with Karla. I think everybody picked her as their favorite, maybe whenever, and it started to flip when Emem started to show that she had some chinks in her armor, but it seemed that everybody had picked her to be the favorite. And I'm like, do y'all not see what I see? Because I see like somebody who obviously has the looks that could attract or should be able to attract pretty much anybody, but it might be more mental than anything. And then the more she kind of peel back the layers, and like I said, episode 5, hour and 7-8 minutes in, it started to unravel. And I'm like, oh, Karla, this isn't somebody that you deal with, or she doesn't have that yet. She's emotionally intelligent, but I think also nowadays we over-index that the same way as a lot of guys tend to over-index their logical sense, or the logical aspects that we might rely on when we're dating or in life or anything like that. And that was just my issue with Karla. It just seemed like everybody, you can't say anything negative about her. And Juan, he played the game. He tried to keep his image clean, but whenever you do anything wrong to the people's favorite, you're always going to get drugged through the mud. And so it just happened to be what it was.
Also, I think it's interesting that we're having a viewpoint that we don't feel he came onto the show to find a wife. I can say the same thing about Karla. What part of her was really coming to find a husband? The instability of her behavior. How can I say that she came to find a husband? I don't question his. I don't think he's done anything to question so that we can question whether he really wants to find a wife. If he did not find her attractive and did not like her, it is the same as I had no problem with Michelle saying no to David. The issue was the way she treated him. So that was my issue with it. You know what I'm saying to you? Could they have spoken a bit more? Well, I was expecting Karla to speak up a bit more and call it out and get experts to call it out, but she decided to play along the game too. She decided to play along and make it nice and make it smooth for each of them, right? So if it really was an issue, she should have spoken up a bit more and said, listen, these are real big issues and we are not getting along. At one point, she might have done that, but she stopped and she decided to go along with the train and went along with it. So how are we able to put, and that's what I'm saying about you, Sean, I'm saying to you, how are you able to put that on Juan and say you don't feel like he came for the show, he didn't come for a wife? What behaviors did you see? So that I can understand, because right now I don't. That's why we gave you pushback last time, because this feels like it's like you're pushing back on Juan, and I don't get why. Because I'm like, what is the pushback here? Okay, he didn't come for a wife. He came for the show. What behavior says that he came for the show and not for a wife? That's what I'm thinking. That's why we were pushing back on you again. So why I was just saying, I know you might not know why we're having a conversation. It's because for the last few weeks we've been having pushback, and it's like we're giving Karla such a pass. Yet the things that have been listed so far, and again, I'm always open for it because it may come out that he's just lying, right? It may just come out that he's still lying and he's a liar. It could be. But all the things that he listed, there ain't nothing that she brought to the table. What did she bring to the table apart from air? And the air's being consumed. So what does she bring to the table at this point as a partner to say that this is somebody who took the experiment seriously? You know what I'm saying to you? Hopefully you get what I'm saying to you.
Like we've all said from the beginning, this show, when you come on Married at First Sight, you know that you're going to get somebody that has things that can be worked on. And the idea is that during the 8 weeks that you're together, you do things to physically work. You bend and flex. You try to get to know the person. You bring out issues that you may see that are things that don't align with you, and then you talk them out, you flesh them out, you give the person a chance to work on them. And those weren't things that Juan did. And then you also come into it with a mind state of flexibility. And when you go into a marriage, you know that it's not, the other person on the other end is not perfect. Especially you go on Married at First Sight, you sign vows, you're literally tied to the person. So, hey, you are trying to work through your challenges. You are literally going through that process of a trial marriage to see it work. And he never gave any opportunity to do that. He just coasted along and did things on the surface. But listen, I don't need to sell you on my opinion, just the same way you're not going to sell me on mine. I don't see this as some, oh my God, this is wonderful. Juan wrote a comment in the YouTubers comment section. Just the same way if Karla wrote a comment section, I wouldn't be jumping up in the aisles to bring that to you to say, hey, look, this proves my point. Look, we all have different POVs on how the situation played out. Chances are there's nothing you could say that's going to change my mind, and vice versa. This is my POV.
Every week we have this conversation. We have these conversations, though. It's not about necessarily the whole point of the debate is that we are just stating our points. We clash every time. When you disagree, you're not really trying to change. You're not really trying to change our mind. You're stating your opinion. So that's why we're not trying to change your mind necessarily. We're trying to have that conversation as boys, as we're talking. This is what we're doing. You said this before, and I've said to you, bro, we're just going back and forth with each other because that's how it is. Like you said some statements which have spoken against against WAN, and I've said, well, I don't see you holding that same smoke for the Carlians, and that's what I was saying to you. So if you say something, I'm gonna jump on it, say, okay, well, bro, you're saying these things, but I don't see the same smoke. That's what I said to you. You use an example, for instance, right? Okay, he didn't want to work on the marriage. So then did Michelle come on the show just to be on the show? Did she come for the marriage? Because as far as I'm concerned, she didn't work on nothing. So did she come for the marriage? Would you say that she came for the marriage, Sean?
No, I don't think she came to maps with the right mindset because she was very inflexible.
So did she come for marriage, or she just find someone that she didn't like?
She was very inflexible, and I think she wrongly entered into the maps process.
So was she fake?
I don't know.
Because that's why we're holding you.
Juan,
because you see,
I mean,
your
Kojo,
energy for
like,
WAN. No. That's why we're holding you, bro.
I really like having these conversations are annoying. It's annoying because you want to take two different people and you want to compare them. Juan and Michelle are two different scenarios, two different marriages. What Juan did and what Michelle did are two different things. So making them equate means nothing. Like, I don't understand, like, what kind of victory dance do you want to have here? If you want to celebrate and you want to be vindicated, be vindicated. Feel good. Feel good that you were right. You guys had a right take. I really don't care. Like, it's becoming annoying because it's like every week you want to try to prove something when I just don't think there's anything to prove. It's my POV. I feel like Juan was very opportunistic in his pursuits of Married at First Sight. And this comment to me proved just that because he passive aggressively addressed these comments that he had about Karla and then says at the end of it, I still like her. I still think she's a great person. While you literally just trashed her. So this just shows to me how disingenuous he is. You're not going to see it that way. You guys want to see him as vindicated. You want to see, hey, we've been right all along. I don't feel that way.
To me, it doesn't have to do with any of them. It's about what you said. You're not holding Michelle and saying that she's fake for her initial entrance into the experiment and how she conducted herself. Whereas you will say that about Juan. And that's, I think the biggest issue is that it seems like you're moving the goalposts now. It's like, now it's the people, but it's what you said. You said Juan's fake and he's disingenuous and et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, Michelle isn't fake or disingenuous or anything like that. And they didn't come here with the best intentions or even prepared to be on the show or conduct the experiment how it should have been.
That's all we say.
I'm not moving a goalpost because I didn't create the goalpost. I didn't create an equivalence between Michelle and Juan. Kojo did. And then tried to ask me to have the same measurement for Michelle that I did for Juan. And I said they are two different people. Two different people with two different outcomes. I did concede, and I said, if you're listening, I said, I think Michelle came into the process wrongly. She didn't do the same things that Juan did. But I did think she came into the process wrongly because I feel like when you come on at Married at First Sight, you should be giving the person that's put in front of you a shot and a chance. And you should come into it with an open mindset because you are being matched with a complete stranger. So on that basis, yes, she didn't come into the process with the right attitude.
So I didn't fight you on that point, Sean. And that's that. I think the reason why we have a back and forth is because for the past few weeks, when we made some points about WAN, you contradicted it and said about Karla. And I said, no, that's not how we feel about Karla's situation. We had a whole panel where we put ourselves on two different sides. So we've had two different opinions. We're not, by the way, we're not trying to like insult your opinion or anything like that. We're merely just stating that you just did it right now. When you started talking about, not like now, but when you start talking about WAN, that's why me and Easton looked at each other. It was like, when you spoke about WAN, you are able to say he's fake. And I said to you, well, then, if that is the case, would you say the same thing for Michelle? Because she did not come onto the show with the right intentions. It is the labels that you label onto the men. That's why I was laughing and saying, see, David's no longer in the basement. So are we going to change it now? Karla has got no house. Are we going to call her a homeless individual? So that's why I was saying, I was like, you have a lot more smoke for the man. You know what I'm saying? To like,
Yes,
and I've got no
and
problem
I
with
don't
that.
understand why you guys want to put your cape on for men. I don't understand why you feel the incessant
It's not
need
all.
to vindicate men and try to defend them.
No,
So what? And Easton, when do you ever uplift a woman on this
I
channel?
am trying to dismantle the
No.
patriarchy. That what
Get out of
that
here.
that
Easton,
entails that
don't
there
insult
needs
my
to be
intelligence.
there has to be
Please.
equality
Please.
on all
The
sides
last thing you can
because
do is insult my intelligence, okay? Don't
that
insult my
means you have to
intelligence.
dismantle both sides. You
Then I
can't
will
just
be, I'm not mad now, but you try to insult my intelligence, that will make me angry. Kojo, please let him know. I know you feel like you got your little bro that's gonna, you're gonna get together and prove your points, but please let him know insulting my intelligence is not a road that we
I
want
don't
to
think he's
go
trying to
down.
insult your intelligence. I don't think he's trying to insult your
no.
intelligence. He has a different point. See, that's what I'm trying to say. See, you're doing it
No.
against Sean.
Kojo,
You
stop it.
label.
He
He's not
said,
insulting your intelligence.
no, he
He's
did.
not.
Stop. Listen to me. He just said he's trying to dismantle the patriarchy. That's insulting my intelligence, not his opinion. Not his
Sean,
opinion.
we've said this
He's
plenty
being.
of times behind
Yeah.
closed doors. I always think that when we dismantle something and we build something up, we're just creating a different evil. And I think that what we're doing is doing that. When we talk about these issues or talk about any issue at all, and we're talking about whether it be men who are in power, what we typically do is let's strip men of power, let's strip any power structure of any power, and we build up the minority in the opposite way. And that, I think, is just as detrimental as anything. So what I say is, hey, dismantle all of it, call both sides. If David's Dusty for being homeless and a basement dweller, we're gonna call Karla basement Dusty for being homeless and having Juan move her stuff in there and not knowing how to cook or anything like that. But hey, what you like to do is you like to me, it seems like you kind of cape, and I'm like, bro, no, you should just call them out. Both of them are Dusty. But she like, nah, Karla ain't Dusty. Only person Dusty is David.
Let's be honest here. It is obvious that Sean he holds more weight towards men because he sees men as leadership roles. We have to take charge. If you're going to take charge, you got to take majority of the blame. I understand that. I understand that it's primarily my role in society as well. But one thing that I've always been and we've been trying to do, if you want us to treat people equally or you want equal treatment, then some of this is what comes with it. I am an equal opportunist smoke giver or praise giver. I have gone against men when I see them do something wrong. I've gone against women when I see them do something wrong. I keep it fair. I've always kept it fair. In this instance, Karla has been showing certain things that we have been pointing out since the beginning that I said was problematic. Not saying nothing bad against her. I didn't say she was trash at any point in time. I just said, nah, there's some things that is not going to work. It wouldn't work for me personally. I can tell it's not going to work for Juan because some of the stuff he pointed out in the beginning, it was not her. It wasn't a match. And then we flipped it around. It was the same thing in reverse to Karla. Juan was really a match for her to a certain extent. Wasn't a match for her. Now, this whole idea of we caping for men, that kind of hit me a little bit. I was like, when personally have I ever caped for any of these dudes on the show? Because I'm need to point that out personally. Because when David needed smoke, I gave him smoke. The only thing I said about him was in the beginning, he at least was into Michelle. He was trying. She did not warn him for the first day she met him. Now, the only thing that he should be guilty of is how he carried on with Madison this whole time and how he treated Alan because they were supposedly friends. So we want to get on him about that? Cool. Y'all want to get on him about this basement situation? Yeah, I pointed towards in the beginning. It was a bad look. Other people decided to dwell on it for weeks, kept dwelling on it. I kept saying, listen, according to him, he was down in the basement to help his family out and to help him when his parents was going through some medical issues. That's what reason why he was home. Now you look, homeboy's out of the house. Yeah, he laid up with Madison, but out the way, he went, he got him some property. He always said, hey, I can go out and get it anytime I want to. And he did. So you still want to bring up that he's a dusty basement dweller? It's your choice if you want to. The only reason why you say it is because you don't like him. Guess what? We don't really like him that much either. He's not that smart in my eye, but it is what it is. But this whole idea, listen, the only reason why this is a lot of this back and forth going against Sean, but it's because Sean does hold a lot of accountability more towards men. And I understand that thought process because we are going to be the first to be looked at when things go wrong. I get it. It's just maybe just my personal opinion, even though I was raised that way as well. I also had very powerful women, especially my mom's side of the family, very successful independent women who all had 20-year, 40-year marriages of themselves. So it's going to be a little difficult for me to all of a sudden say it's patriarchy, patriarchy, patriarchy. No, they taught me, no. We have just as much power and responsibility as y'all men. So that also means you take some of the accountability of certain things as well. You can't come to me with just a little, oh, my personality is nice. You should just love me and give me all your resources and think I'm just supposed to accept that. Especially when we come to find out, okay, I'm taking all the bills. It's my responsibility. This and that and third. I'm leading. Then come to find out you can't even turn on the stove. You can't even wash a piece of clothing. You can't. What? I'm sorry. Why are you here? I'm here looking for a wife, not a child to take care of. Not a child. Looking for a wife. KARLA, as much as I do like her, even though I'm going in on a little bit, I actually do like KARLA. She still comes off as a child to me at times. And that's my only issue with her. That's it.
My little piece.
No, we have to let Sean end it because it's 3-on-1, so it's an unfair thing. We're gonna let Sean end it, and we're gonna move to the next one. We'll talk behind the scenes when we are boys, but we're gonna let Sean end it. I know we're gonna move it on. So we're gonna let Sean have the last final word. We're gonna move on to David and Madison as well. Okay, so Sean, please have the last word on this particular aspect.
Yeah, so since we brought up the topic of dismantling patriarchy, what that is not giving men and women the same consequences, but what it is understanding that men and women are different. It's understanding that being a man comes with a certain amount of privilege, and understanding that privilege, and understanding that men and women have very different consequences for the very same actions, and looking to balance the scale, not in terms of making men and women the same, but looking into for men to acknowledge some of the things that women have to go through. And in doing so, understand that that means abdicating some of the power we have as men and holding men accountable for the things that men do in a lot of instances versus excusing it, right? We as men should be using our privilege to call out other men for the things that they do, and be confident and comfortable to say when men are wrong and not look to excuse men's inactions. So that's what I'm doing. You guys can do all the, and I think that's the problem with these kind of conversations. I never say you have to do this, or I think you need to do this, or you do that. I tell you my opinion. I call out what I see from my perspective, and I state what the truth is from my POV. You know, in the last three of your statements, you've all told me what I need to do and what I'm not doing and why I need to have balance. I don't need to have that balance because I don't feel that that's necessary. I think that men need to do more actions to be accountable for their behaviors. And men need to be the ones calling out other men, because when women do it, men don't listen and they make excuses. And that's why I think sometimes we as men, we want to hold on to that little bit of privilege, or a lot of bit of the privilege, depending on what the topic is. So we look for reasons to excuse it. We look for things like stuff in JUAN, when we know these behaviors are not anything that I would want my daughter, my wife, or anybody that I care about to have to deal with. So that's the lens that I look through these people with. I look through these people with what I want a woman that I care about in close proximity with a man like that. And then I ask myself, and then I check myself, have I done things like that that are problematic to skate? Yes. So that's when I call it out. You guys can make a different choice, and I respect it, but that's not the choice that I want to make.
Appreciate it, Sean. Let's move on to David and Madison. It's been a good conversation. I'm sure we'll chop it up behind the scenes, but let's talk about David and Madison because time is going. Before I do, got to react some super chats. Also, if you're in a chat as well, it's about to go members only. We gave you an hour for free, okay? But it's about to go to members only. So if you're not a member, become one. It's literally $1 and £1. If you haven't got it, borrow it. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that because someone's going to quote me and be like, he's out here trying to take everybody's money. Listen. It's £1, $1 for the membership. It's $sign. So click on the $sign. Sign up to the membership if you love these kind of conversations. We love having these discussions. You know what I'm saying to you? Sometimes we agree, and a lot of times we disagree, and it's beautiful. You know what I'm saying to you? All right. So we enjoy the conversations. I want you to enjoy them too. So if you're ready and you're in here, be ready because it's about to go to members only as well. Okay, it's about to go to members only. Okay, so we're about to put this in the members only. So if you're in here, I've already done it. So there we go. It says members only. Fantastic. I've already done it. All right, cool. Juicy says she wanted. I hear it, Juicy. I hear it. First of all, shout out to D Perry. He says JUAN's letter is primarily in response to the smoke about him begging on Reddit for votes for a business initiative. Folks were saying that he's an opportunist and wasted KARLA's time. Thank you, D Perry, for that. I appreciate that. First and foremost, I always appreciate when people. Everybody from the screen. I don't know why it does that. Hold on, I'm gonna bring you back on in a sec, guys. I don't just need to my little
is a U.S. The new king.
Shout out to D Perry. We appreciate you very, very much. Let me read out my other super chats as well. Kesha L says it's okay. He said no. He came for promo and exposure. Okay, I hear you. And then Kesha L says again, JUAN and Michelle are both whack. That's it. What's next? I appreciate it. I definitely hear you as well. And Cody Newman, welcome as well. Becoming one of the members as well. We appreciate you as well. For those of you who are here, we appreciate all our members here. It's always a vibe. We like the conversations, okay? Sometimes it gets a little bit heated, but we always keep it respectful around here. You get what I'm saying to you, all right? The man them do go back and forth, but don't worry. We ain't dying around here, okay? We ain't dying around here, so we're good. All right, cool. Let me get the boys back on because I think it just switches whenever I change the thingy. So I'll get the boys back on. Should get them all back on. Fantastic stuff. All right, cool. Let's get back into this conversation because there was more to the conversation than just JUAN and KARLA. On this particular episode, we had obviously David and Madison were cornered. I didn't even say they're cornered because it wasn't really cornered, really and truly. They were asked a few questions. The rest of the fellow contestants kind of said how they felt about the situation as well. So they got to know what their fellow classmates were. But it seems that everyone seems to have got on with it. You know what I'm saying? It feels like everyone's kind of got on with it. JUAN is still being friends with David and Madison. He's going out to ring shopping with them. It seems like Camille's still friends with Madison because she's still cool with her as well and everything as well. So it seems to be, some shape or form, it seems to be there seems to be some coolness. But I want to get you guys' thoughts. I thought David and Madison were very unaccountable, even with their apologies, even with their sorries and stuff like that as well. I want to know your particular thoughts as well. What's your thoughts around David and Madison as well? What's your thoughts around that? Sorry, my throat. Got something in my throat there. Sorry. Yes. What are your thoughts, guys? Sorry. Let me go. Easton, I'll let you go first. Go for it. Talk to me, David and Madison.
I was disappointed in after a year time, them not owning up to pretty much anything. I mean, they did do these kind of half-baked apologies, and Madison, I mean, it's just eating her up on the inside. The guilt, the shame, and I think, like you were saying earlier, is something that she probably went into the experiment with. But it was a little bit disheartening seeing that after a year, that she hasn't really changed the beat of her drum, her apologies, how she feels, how she even kind of orchestrates some of her sentences to even get to the point where she is now. David, you know, he's a big ding dong. I mean, he's an idiot in my mind. I'm glad that he's doing better, but you know, I think he made some grave errors in this entire situation, and they just seem like they just wanted a lot of sympathy, and I didn't really have that for them. I still am a little bit disappointed in how Mavs kind of conducted their experiment and continue to like showcase them, and even now giving them really premier time because of their relationship. But hey, you know, these are social experiments that are driven to entertain, and so I think that the actual practicality of Mavs is out the window, and it's about ratings and stuff so far.
Appreciate that. Trey, what's your thoughts on this, man? David, Madison not apologizing the way they should. Talk to me, man.
Honestly, I didn't really expect them to apologize the way they should, because they really don't have any remorse in the situation. They're just sorry that, you know, they got caught in it all, and that they're not able to maintain the so-called friendships they thought they had. It was not, well, I would say that's half true on that last part, because I thought it was very telling that Michelle's issue with the entire group is the same that she had when they first got back with when they first all got back from the vacation. She was always on the outside of the friend group, you know, since the very beginning. She was always on the outside. So it's still perplexing to her. I mean, well, I'm gonna say her words verbatim when she was talking to Pastor Cal on that couch when they came back. She didn't understand why everybody was still trying to be friends with David during that time, because she thought he was the bottom of her shoe. And she was confused in that fact. Why did they still like him? She said this. And, you know, so that told me then, yeah, okay, yeah, she's not really part of the crew as she thinks she is. Because you had Camille that's still, you know, she's still friends with Madison to a certain extent, which is kind of funny, actually. I'm like, oh, okay. So y'all still hanging out. And that's Michelle's real problem with this whole situation. Why are y'all still talking to these two after what they did? Yet we notice different parts of the crew are still dealing or going out and hanging out with David and Madison. But their apologies, yeah, any apologies on the show was very lacking because no one truly meant it. You know, they're just trying to save face. It's the reunion. We all supposed to be somewhat kumbaya, and you know, everybody has to rehash something that happened a year ago by this point. But truly sorry, no. There was none of that. The only thing I say is Madison is not used to being the in-your-face villain or bad guy. She's used to doing her chaos on the side or behind the scenes. She is a chaotic person, but she's used to not being in your face or just playing a somewhat victim route of it all. But she's not used to having all the attention on her. No, this is your fault. You did this. Especially in this situation with David, because like Issa just said, David is not a smart guy. You could just tell he doesn't have all his faculties, you know. So that kind of tells me who's the real mastermind and driving force behind this relationship, and it's Madison. Because just keep it real, even though David said he shot his shot, it would have never went nowhere unless Madison was willing or accepting or receptive of his shot in the first place. You know, so This whole thing doesn't go down without Madison say so. And she's just trying to save face right now because she wants to be, quote unquote, look good. She likes to look. She wants to look good to everyone and be accepted. But she knows everybody's not going to accept her. And like Issa said earlier, it's eating her up. It's eating her bad.
Go for it, Sean.
Yeah, I these two, I just want them both off my screen. I'm tired of their ill-gotten love affair being propped up before us, and I think they deserve each other. You know, they both lack character, and their fake apologies were just veils to try to protect some sort of image because all of this was done in a very public format. So they are quite conscious of how the public is going to see them. So whatever little bit of an apology that David gave, as well as Madison, it's kind of like, you know, it's lackluster. And I think Madison and David are both just sorry that their plot was revealed and this didn't get to play out in the real world like it would have. And that's the sad part because their relationship is built on a foundation of lies. And they want to continue to prop up that lie. They're probably even lying to themselves. And that's why they keep saying, oh, Michelle never wanted him. You know, and Madison, whatever she's convinced herself of, I don't know how she's convincing herself that she really gave Alan a shot because that's hogwash, you know. But what they're doing is creating this lie so that they can keep their relationship going, and this is what happens until it all crumbles. You know, I don't wish necessarily bad on them, but time and time again this is proven: when people don't deal with their don't deal with foundational major issues, when your relationship starts on deception, it's very hard to come back from that because it will haunt you because you've never dealt with it. So they want to offload the guilt, offload the responsibility to others. You know, Madison's offloading it to Michelle. David is offloading it to Michelle. You know, so it's easy to blame Michelle, but they don't take any accountability for their actions. And then comes the fake apologies, and even Madison has the audacity to say, "Listen, I've said it. I'm not going to say it again." You know, like that to me is just like, then you really don't mean it. And then every time they try to like dig into the timeline, David just stumbles and fumbles and says, you can believe what you want to believe. That's every complete lying, diabolical person's response when they are trying to move around accountability and not own what they did. And just say, hey, listen, we realize we started off on a bad foot, but the one good thing that came out of it is we found each other. We are sorry for the hurt we did. We started off way wrong and we just want to move forward, you know, but we are completely sorry. That's it. That's all you got to do, but they can't do it. Oh, just dodging, playing dodgeball all around. And that's the part that just makes me sick of them. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it being propped up like we found something good. No, you didn't. And even in the end, when Madison was talking to Alan and I think Kevin asked her, did she even feel a little remorse or sorry? Would she do it differently all over again? And she flat out pretty much said no, because it means that I wouldn't have gotten to David. If I gave Alan a chance, that means that I wouldn't get to be with David at the end. Yeah. Problematic, you know. I wish her all the healing she needs. Maybe Emem can share that list of therapists that she gave to Ike for her.
You know, I had a good question. Just, you know, and it kept going through my mind. If the experts would have actually put David with Madison from the very beginning, do we think it really would have worked? Because I can see where it could be, yes, but I'm very skeptical.
I think it would have, because that boy David is a simple man, and all he needs is a little bit of attention. He is not a complex person, and that could be a good or a bad thing. But all he needs is a little bit of attention from the ideal person, and that's all he needs. And Madison was the ideal archetype, and she gave him attention, and that's all he needed to make him happy.
You know, the reason why I say I'm skeptical, I get Madison is definitely his ideal archetype. The only problem is I think the main reason why Madison even gave David quote unquote a chance was because of the how Michelle was treating him in the beginning. He caught some sympathy from her. And that's how their relationship kind of started. She wasn't happy with Alan from the very beginning. We saw that. And then here comes you see David in the gym, and he's somewhat going through the same issue with Michelle. So it just seems like there was some sympathy play that was going on up in there. I don't know. I'm just not too sure because I think she would have had. I think some of the same issues would have rise if she would have if they would have put them together and he told her, "Yeah, I'm living in my mom's basement, this and that third." I would think she would have some of the same, like, well, okay, wait a minute, it's kind of weird. Hold on. If she was paired with him. But given that she kind of saw him from a different angle or a different viewpoint, I think she kind of let some other things go. But like, oh, okay, gave him a chance. Oh, he explained his situation. Okay, I understand that. You know what? This is not too bad of a guy. I actually like this guy. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It's just a question that popped in my head because I'm not sure if they really would have hit it off like that if they were just paired together. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I said the same thing a few panels ago, Trey. I absolutely don't think that Madison would have went for him. I think he, of course, would have went for her. I don't think at initial pairing she would have been into him. And we see affairs and things like this start all the time where people are not really people's person, but they just kind of merge on a commonality. And I think they started their little connection on not being happy in their particular marriages, and they've already said that. And then it just kind of sprung board from there, and they built a genuine friendship, you know. And then the romance was probably first from him and then to her, and it went from there. I think they were just bonding, and then both being in a traumatic situation, being in a very difficult situation like maths. It's very difficult, being under scrutiny like that, being in a very compressed environment, marrying somebody you don't know. So I think all of that was the right recipe for a bad decision.
Yes, it's a tough one, really, whether they would work in that aspect. You know what I'm saying to you? Because like I said, I don't think Madison tells the truth. I actually don't think she tells the truth about what her type is, and I honestly don't think she does. So that's why I think that it might not have worked because she might not have been truthful. But I also think it might have worked for the two of them because I honestly think seeing how that woman reacts to him now, that's her type. I know her daddy want to talk about how she like the pretty boys, but she one of them girls that don't want to tell the truth about what they really really like. Cause just in case daddy come out and be like, yeah, I don't like that kind of thing. It's like Betty with Bruce Banner. It's like you ain't dating the Bruce Banner. You know what I'm saying to you? But she gonna like Bruce Banner. It's like I feel like she's not all the way honest about her real type and what she really really likes in essence. You know what I'm saying to you? But I'm only saying it because of what I think there was someone that was coming up about that her sister had a similar kind of look. Her man had a similar look kind of to David. So I don't know. Go for it. Yeah.
I think it's the kind of like the age old like observation. When you date somebody who's outside of your you're outside of who you like would normally be paired with or supposed to be dating, and you be looking at like couples and you're like, dang, this definitely ain't the what I thought she was going to be with. I think that's what it is with Madison. Like you're willing to take a couple notches down in the pretty boy department because they might be ethnically, because I see it all the time here in the States. I'm like, bro, you going to date that? Like she's way and she's in a different community and she's a couple of notches down and not trying to get into the looks department. But, people, I think they make concessions if they feel like they may have went into a different kind of vertical. And I don't want to be too, I guess, crass or be like talk about races or anything like that. But I just think that I see it all the time where it's like, bro, this ain't this is a loss. You taking a negative, you taking an L right here. But to them, they think that they're taking a win.
So basically we're saying David is Madison, medium ugly man, but has the temperament that she's used to. It would sound like we're saying here.
I think she's attracted, if I'm honest with you. I think she's attracted. Because that woman ain't faking no funk. That woman see him half naked, taking tattoos with moobs and still wanting him, kissing him up and she won't kiss him. That's saying something. Now, whether it lasts or not, that's a different story. But
Yeah,
hey,
I don't think she's faking. That's not my point. So I'm not making that point at all. Yeah, I don't think she's faking. I think that the genesis of their relationship just started in a very you know, it started in a place that if they were just automatically paired together, I don't think it would have worked the same way. I think they had that right recipe and it just combusted for their relationship to start. You know, the sneaking around, the hiding, the deception, getting having a friendship, having someone that does share some commonalities. And then it just was that right recipe where they probably wouldn't at sight, I don't think she would have just seen him and been like, oh yeah, let me dive into this. And then hearing some of the other things that came along with him, she might have been like, I don't know that I want to work with all of that. So that's my point.
Usually when I think about things of this nature, I'm a very I try to keep things somewhat simplistic. I just say this: if you start in chaos, usually you would end in chaos. So how they started is probably going to be very similar to how they end if they do so. Not wishing them any worse on them, whatever, but usually how this is how these things go. How you meet them is how you lose them. You start in chaos and craziness. That's usually how you're going to lose them and end in the same manner. It happens too much for it not to be true. You see it all the time.
But I'd argue that they never really met in chaos. I think that they initially built their roots in a place where they were kind of like relying on each other. I find it interesting that it eventually became chaotic, but in the beginning, like if everything went to their plan, it would be no chaos. They would act like nothing ever happened. It would get to decision day, they would say no and they would run off together. It just became chaotic because Dave is an idiot and he sent the wrong message to the wrong person. But I think that they started, like, the foundation of their relationship was very normal. Oh, we're talking and we're like, it's like you talking to your significant other or your partner, and she might y'all clicking and y'all talking for hours about your life and stuff like that. I think that they started in a normal place and eventually it got a little bit chaotic. So I don't know if it's going to be like a normal chaos, even though they are cheating. But again, as I said before, I don't think everybody goes into this thinking that this is a real marriage. A lot of people go into it as it's a social experiment, but I think that the relationship didn't always start in chaos. It kind of rolled into chaos because of David's dumb self.
Well, Easton, I have to somewhat disagree with that. Just from just on principle, we're gonna use this word again. On principle, it has to be labeled as chaos. Yeah, I agree with some of what you just said. I don't think these people even looked at this as real marriages. They said it, this is a social experiment, but out of the way, y'all were both in some type of relationships with other people, and y'all was sitting around behind the scenes going your own relationship. It's chaotic. It's chaotic. You're right. I think the plan is we'll ride this out to the end, and then later we're gonna we'd be like, oh, we just discovered each other after, decision day, blah, 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 which would have been a lie. But you could tell that was the plan. David messed the whole plan up and then compounded by telling terrible lies. But yeah, it has to be some type of chaos. It's because of what they caused by doing it in the you was going to be an issue. And right. So it's chaotic.
We done lost Trey.
Was it a little
Straight traveling.
choppy?
Straight traveling.
You pay that
Yeah.
Wi-Fi bill, bro. Sorry, yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is, it doesn't matter what was exposed; it's what was done and the foundation. You know, similar to what Trey was saying, it's not about what people know; it's what you actually did and the lengths to which you went to establish your relationship. And you know, especially when you're talking about love and their commitment, you know, that they now have together, buying properties together and the like, it's very difficult to have your beginning come from such uh, um, a not good place, and then try to clean it up when you don't even own it. Like if you own it and you acknowledge, then there's a path to some level of possibility. But if you can't even own the fact that you started from a bad place, and you're still going on, still trying to convince people and yourselves that you did the right thing, then yeah, it's very difficult, because when you convince yourself of lies, the lies just aren't, they don't just discriminate like, oh, after a certain point you're going to lie to that person. Your behavior is the lie. What allows you to do that, what allows you to tell a lie and continue that, especially a big lie, right? Because we all, there's white lies, but when you tell a large lie that's huge, and then you deceive and you cover, and it's a story and you're telling other people, yeah, that becomes part of you, who you are and how you conduct yourself. And when you don't learn better ways to navigate things, then you're going to do that in some shape or form. We saw it with for people who follow the Atlanta Housewives. Portia did that with Simon, and unfortunately now they're going through a divorce. But it's like everybody was looking at her crazy, and she tried to say, "Oh, that's my coworker." I didn't really know that girl like that. But in essence, she still took somebody else's husband that she knew, nonetheless, and then created a marriage and tried to create this grand life. But then it fell apart because he was lying to her too. And that's the thing: when people don't ever just work to unpack why they did what they did, acknowledge it, have some level of remorse, then it's going to happen. The leopard's going to eat your face.
Now, I agree with you. I agree, but I'm also under the lens of a lot. We're seeing time and time again that many of the contestants, their actions aren't in line with them thinking that they're married. Like, I see why Madison and David are acting the way that they do, because they're trying to justify their actions by saying, oh, we weren't really in a marriage. And David's biggest thing is that Michelle was mean to me, and that's why I wasn't in a marriage initially. And Madison is like, well, I wasn't attracted to Alan. That's why I'm justified in my actions. Again, not saying it's right. It is dead wrong. They're cheaters. They're scum of the earth. I'm saying for them, the inception of their relationship might not be, between them two, might not be harbored with as much guilt and shame as it should be, because they don't feel that way. Whereas, like, how we might look at it is like, why you made vows to Michelle and you made vows to Alan, and you dogging them and you did them dirty. But for them, it's like, well, for these reasons, this is why it's justified. And more so with David, he's going to always lean on the fact that, well, she never really liked me anyway. I wasn't getting any attention. I think they really marry each other because in Madison, at the core of her, David gives her the reassurance that he's not really going to bring up her past, or I think that when Alan called her transactional, it hurt her a lot more than she let on to be. She got mad and upset, but that affects her. And David's an idiot. He ain't fit to bring that up. He just happy he got his Caucasian queen with the blonde hair, blue eyes. And David just wants a little bit of attention, and Madison is willing to do that. And so they like each other for those reasons. I just think that us as viewers, we hold them to a higher standard, and we should, but the inception of their relationship, I think, wasn't very chaotic. I think it was actually pretty normal compared to what normal people, how they go in line in terms of a relationship. Oh, we talk about our lives. We talk about some intimate, close situations, some stuff that stresses us out. We get close and we bond over that. And eventually we start to find a liking towards each other. And when we take another step, I think it's more normal than it is chaotic from my purview, but I'm not willing to die on the heel of Madison and David because they both losers.
I mean, listen, I do actually hear what you're saying. However, I do feel, even if it's not the marriage aspect, let's say, for instance, it is an experiment, which is fair. I think the aspect is, though, there were still relationships that they were actually in. My biggest issue actually is less with, no, not even less. No, actually, I could say less, because now David's kind of now, he hasn't taken full accountability, but he's kind of a little bit at least acknowledged that there's wrong that's been done to Michelle and the fact that they were in a relationship and he didn't say anything by exiting. But both him and Madison can make all the stresses all they want, that it's a social experiment, fine. But the reality was you were in relationships. So even if it's not a marriage, let's say you're not taking the marriage very seriously, you're still entering into a relationship. So when you exit the relationship, you're supposed to say bye. You're supposed to say, hey, I gotta go. This ain't for me. This ain't gonna work, right? But in essence, what actually happened is they both decided to quit their situation without discussing it with their partners. That's fine. Okay, now you've done that. You've made that mistake. Own it. And you say, listen, we apologize because, yes, I should have had a conversation with you. Yes, I did that wrong. Then that shows a level of accountability and also shows that you know what is right and wrong. The problem is, from the way that they're apologizing, it doesn't feel like they know what's right or wrong. And that's a bigger issue. It actually isn't, like, I would agree with you. It is an experiment. As we just heard from Juan on his little thing. They are looking at it as a social experiment. Well, in season 18, people are looking at it like a social experiment. Unfortunately, it is what it is. And then people are hoping that maybe something will come out of it. I'm not going to say, I'm saying pretty much everybody probably comes on a show like that, right? But the problem is that you are still in a relationship and you did a person dirty. So you have to acknowledge the fact that you did a person dirty. You know what I'm saying to you? Otherwise, what can, not what will, what can, not will, what can happen is that when those same, as Sean was saying, those same behaviors, as Trey was saying, those same behaviors that took you into a place of doing the dirt in the first place are the same things that will take you out. Coming from somebody who has done the nonsense. I'm telling you, as somebody who has taken someone's girlfriend before, moved mad, did all those kind of things, there's a certain energy and behavior that I existed in that space. There's no way that I could have taken that same energy with that person into a relationship without first acknowledging where I went wrong. That this particular behavior, if I'm going to build on it, I have to change certain things. Because in order for me to take somebody's girl, there is a certain level of craftiness that I have to bring. There's a certain level of absence of mind I have to bring. There's a certain level of, I have to ignore what you're bringing to the table. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So you may tell me you got a man, and I'll be like, I don't really care. But for me to be in that space, it's not a healthy space to be in. If you're in a relationship with someone that you like, and they told you, well, I got someone else is feeling me, they like me, you're gonna feel some type of way. Why? Because you care about that person. So I had a certain level of not caring. That can't exist in a relationship which is meant to be healthy and meant to be fully functioning. So I'm not saying that's specifically that this is not going to work. What I'm saying is that there has to be a concentration of learning lessons, because what tends to happen at the end of somebody taking somebody else or whatever you guys move in is something called limerence. And it's actually like what we call, it's very similar to the honeymoon phase, but it's different. It's for people who cheat. It's called limerence, where you first are enamored by that person. It can last up to a year, maybe 2. So that limerence can carry you over. And you're just excited about the person, that you're not looking at all the issues and the foundational issues that you guys actually have, right? So I'm not saying they're not going to work. I don't want to pronounce that. They seem very, very happy and very, very in tune. I mean, they seem to be on the same wavelength. I am saying, though, unfortunately, if they don't do the work and they don't actually have real conversations and they don't build accordingly some of those facets that are needed in a healthy relationship, it will easily get torn down by their own self. It will be a Trojan horse that is within their own grounds, and it'll be their own behavior that will take them out. So it's not saying that they won't work. It's just saying that if you are going to work, there really should be some growth. And right now, I can't see the growth because I can't see how you have no empathy for the people that you've hurt in front of you, but you love each other. That's given one day, I'm going to turn that lack of empathy on you. So that's all I'm kind of saying in that aspect. I'm not really seeing it. But then saying that, Mario and Reva, they had a lack of Mario definitely had a lack of empathy for Tundi. You know what I'm saying to you? So hopefully they did the work eventually. But I mean, he did send a voice note saying he was sorry. So to be honest, I don't know. But it's just something that can take you out of the game. It's not saying it's definitely going to take you out of the game. You know what I'm saying to you? But yeah. Yes, Trey.
You know, Madison says something that it had me thinking, and I had to admit, I don't know if the show will ever want to go back to this. Y'all remember in the very beginnings of Married at First Sight, the couples never met. Well, the group never met each other, ever. They stayed separate. And the experts would go and meet with each couple separately and work them through their marriages. When I thought about that, I went, man, I can understand. I can already see they will probably never go back to that because they wouldn't have as much drama as they would. But I find it interesting because when she said that, it came on. I think you brought this up earlier, Coach Joe. It came on the tail end of when she called the female group. What she called them? A bunch of cackling something. I was like, whoa, that was interesting, but probably very true. You know, the girls were probably getting together talking ish about some of the men. Yeah, it definitely probably happened. But and I get the reason why she brought it up, because she was like, some of the comments that was probably being made in those group settings was swaying some of the opinions of said people within the group to whoever were matched with. I.e., I think she was kind of low key talking about Camille to a certain extent of Stephen Thomas in the very beginning. Because if you notice, the perception of Thomas is very different now than what it was in the beginning. And I'm talking how the women are talking about Thomas. The perception was very different. So I'm like, I just find it very interesting that she brought that up specifically. And I went, this show would probably do a lot better if they, double back to that format a little bit. Like, I think Mavs need a hard reset. Reset. Mavs need a hard reset of how they handle some things. But then again, that will cut out some drama, and hey, it's what we watching for. So
that ain't gonna happen, Trey. After the talks I had this weekend, I said some of this stuff is super calculated. Some of this stuff is by design. I was one chat I had with a person really, really close was that this after season, I forgot which season, but whatever year season, the Seattle season of Love is Blind, because with Kinetic, but both Mavs and Love is Blind started having Kinetic marketing people come in during the scenes and putting in shifting things a particular way or having people reshoot a particular way. So I think it's the days of us having good old like love stories and things drawn out are long gone. And I think that it's going to be more so for the views and the drama, and which is why they're pushing whatchamacallit to the front, while they're pushing David and Madison to the front, because it's beyond me the fact that they have premiere time like on the show. Like they get a date, they're having multiple dates, they're being pranced around like they're the ideal couple, and the couples on the show aren't treating them like they're the scum of the earth or the gum on the bottom of your shoe, and Mavs isn't either. And so that's wild. It seems very like they're focused on it, like that's what they wanted to do, and they even hinted at that at the beginning of the season. So like when they were doing all the promo and stuff like that. So I think that this is more of a calculated thing, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon, because this pushed a lot of energy and a lot of viewership towards Mavs.
I do see the switch of them moving to more of a Mavs Australian format. And we've been seeing signs of that for the last couple of seasons, actually. I just don't know if it's going to work for the short term because people love drama, even here in this country. I don't know if that's going to last long term in America because this is a cliche when we talk about this, but to pretend that it is still very conservative about certain things and certain topics and certain architects like marriage. So if they decide to go the Australian route and get buck wild crazy like they do over there, I don't know how long that format would last over here. I give it about 3-4 seasons. It's probably why they're changing networks now and heading over to Peacock. But I don't know if that'll last for a long period of time, at least in this country. I'm just not sure.
Sean, any other thoughts on David Madison before we switch it?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay. Well, we'll just end on Ikechi and Emem shortly. We won't go too much because obviously that's for tomorrow, but I want to get your thoughts on this as well, because he said he wasn't attracted to her. Boy, oh boy, Ikechi. He said he was not attracted to old girl, and that's why he was basically behaving the way he was. And I think that's quite interesting. That he brought that particular aspect up. But before we go anywhere, let me read the super chats as well by the people. Damn, Caramel, Cutie said that sounds about right. Trey and Sean, shout out, the DP is kind of cute too. Okay, let me behave. And then Phil Good said, listen, maybe on the island them dating, maybe on island them dating after decision day is still wrong. IMO, both are gutter snipes. It's wrong to date your friend's girl. Yes, right, I hear it. And then he said, Easter, my brother, you're wilding. It's chaos. Shout out to Phil Good. He's always one to support the channel as well. Thank you very much, Phil. We appreciate you sending in your super chats, men and women. Thank you. All right, so we quickly talk about obviously Ike and Ikechi. I'm probably going to give you about 15 minutes, so keep your responses short because it's for tomorrow, really. But I thought we should touch on it really quickly. Easton, talk to me. What's your thoughts on Ikechi letting Emem know finally that he was not attracted to Emem? That's potentially why he did all he did. What's your thoughts?
I think it was a cop out. To me, Ikechi at this point, I mean, I think it's somewhat true, but I think with Ikechi, he doesn't want any additional attention brought on him. And the deeper he goes, he, like, even when Kevin was asking about his girlfriend or the people he's dating or what he's been doing, he's very vague. And I think with Ikechi, he's trying to come into the show because he already knows that he's been trashed online and his book has gotten 1-star reviews, but he's trying to be as, I'm not saying he's not trying to rock the boat, but I think that he doesn't want anybody to dig any more into his life or into who he is as a person, because he just can't handle that. So he said, "Oh, I'm just not sexually attracted to you," just to keep it there and be like, that's all she needed to resolve the issue, and hopefully that keeps everybody and makes everybody happy. But I think it's more to it. I think there's more context, there's more nuance, and I'm glad that he did say that. But I think that Kevin could have phrased the questions a little bit better, and we can get into a little bit more of why he is acting the way he did, because just not being sexually attracted to somebody doesn't mean you treat him like that. And that's my take on that.
I think Ikechi was telling half truths as he always does and has been doing this whole entire season. He definitely was on an apologist tour, trying to save a better face. And I'm not going to lie to you, it was, at least from his standpoint, it was halfway working until Kevin Frazier started to do revisionist history and find out what really happened and why he stopped liking Emem. I think he was half right when he said I didn't find her attractive, but I think that they still don't want to go into exactly what happened on that honeymoon on one of those days. Something happened for him to turn him completely off. Because according to him, it's why I say Ikechi was saying half truths. According to him, when it was at the wedding, he felt, he felt fine with her. He liked her. He wanted to get to know her. He was cool. It was a great time. Yada yada yada. Halfway through the resort trip, it was all good until that evening when Kevin brought it up. Hey, you opened the door to something more or more sexual with her, and then you slammed it. And Cage still does not want to go into that. He kept trying to deflect it, and then he finally threw out, "I just wasn't attracted." To try to end the conversation. I just wasn't attracted. Like I said, I think that's a half true, and I think there's a lot more to it. But he doesn't want to go into it because when they tried to last time, it was a bad look because he was labeling her a certain thing, and it was bad, and he know it was bad. So yeah, he just doesn't want to even go down that road. But I'm gonna keep that one short just to save the rest for later.
Go for it, Sean.
Yeah, I pretty much feel the same way. I think that, we did get some truth. I think there's probably a little bit more. I definitely, from the vibe of watching it, it looked like he was not attracted to her. He wouldn't say that. He kept, blaming her and finding all these reasons that were wrong with her without really owning his thought about her. So I'm glad, he finally got to it. I think he still has an attitude problem, because I think they were asking him about who he's seeing or something like that, and he said, "I don't have to tell y'all. I'm not telling y'all nothing." That just shows because he did that. I think that was to Kevin when Kevin asked him a question. That's just who Ike is. So I think Emem is also a very direct person, very assertive. So they were also not a mix, and I think in addition to that, her her level of success, because he did talk about that a little bit when they asked him if he could redo the aggressive word again, and he said I would, and he started to just talk about how successful she is in her business and things like that. So I think that was part of it. Whether he was intimidated by her or whether he felt like inside the things that she had couldn't he didn't really measure up with that because he made a lot of little negging remarks about the air fryer and she got more TVs than he has and blase blase. I think, all of that stuff also equates into why he treated her the way he did. I think he toyed with the idea of it with her and then realized that it just wasn't going to be something he could be able to do. And then the true Ike started to show up. Whatever that is, I think we've done a good job at diagnosing and calling out the behavior, so we don't need to relitigate that. But the true Ike showed up when he realized that he just didn't want MM for the variety of reasons he didn't like her.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. I mean, listen, I think we'll talk more about this tomorrow because we'll have a deeper dive in it. But I definitely feel there's a lot more to explore with Akechi's responses, and obviously there's a part two, which means I think what they did is probably just clipped up. They had a one long conversation and they chipped up part one and then put some in part two. It feels like that's what they did in terms of the editing. So I don't understand why there's a part two continuation from their conversation when they really sat on the couch. But we'll see what happens in part two and some of the things that they asked him as well. It's going to be interesting as well. Well, listen, we have come to the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. All right, a 2-hour mark has been hit. And it's been a righteous conversation. We started hot, came in hot and heavy, and we ended on a cool one as well. Sean, if you can give us the benediction, and we'll be on our righteous way.
Sure. So we'll start off with how we started, and that was with Juan and Carla. And we like to feel that we infuse scripture in this. So there's a scripture called "Be ye also ready." So when you enter into a marriage, you should be ready. Both parties should be ready. So you should be ready, and financially ready. And you should be stable, right? You should definitely be ready in those capacities. You also should be ready to be transparent and to be open and to also be flexible and to be willing to be working together with your spouse. Those are some of the key components to being ready for marriage. Next, we talked about Madison and David, two people that had a very shaky situation that started off on shaky ground. But what they didn't do, which is another component of a great relationship and a great marriage, is have contrition. Contrition is defined as being apologetic, being remorseful, and penitent. So remorseful meaning you are sorry for what you did. You truly are sorry. And then you have a level of repentance, right? Meaning that you turn away from the thing that you did. So if you started on a lie, you turn away from the lie. You don't double down on the lies. You don't continue to justify the lies. You turn away from the lies. So that is a very important part to start off on your relationship. And if the foundation of your relationship is shaky, chances are the future of your relationship will be shaky. Last but not least, we talked about Ikechi and just him finally owning his feelings and being honest. Another component that is super important in a marriage. You have to be honest with your spouse. You have to be open with your spouse. And you also have to be kind to your spouse, which is a key component of love, right? We always lead in kindness, right? We tell our truths. We are transparent, but we are kind at the same token. Back to you, Coach.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it, man. Listen, the fellas have concluded their conversation today. Fear not, little people. All right, the man them just have a little back and forth all the time. It's part of our, a little fun that we have with each other. But listen, we're gonna be back tomorrow night with the ladies as well. We'll get them to have their say with us as well and get their points of view. Should be an interesting conversation. I'm sure a lot of us have got different opinions on the Ikechi situation. Camille and Thomas as well. She got that boy with a cut in the head. I mean, he's now doing waves in the head. So clearly the swag has come. And she admitted something which was really interesting. I didn't talk on about it, but she said, "Oh, she had to make sure that it was going to be long term." That's when I said it proves what we said about Camille last time when we said that she used that what do you call it, that lingerie as a control device. I ain't gonna lie to you, but hey, listen, if they're happy and I'm loving it, the fact that they're still together and they've got plans for the future, I was like, cool. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, it continues and they go from strength to strength. So we're back tomorrow night, and then we're back obviously on Saturday for Ready to Love. No Love is Blind this time, so we are done with that on a Sunday as well. So we rest on the Sunday. All right. Okay. So I appreciate y'all. So tomorrow we'll be back again, same time. And I realized that the hour had gone, so that's why I thought it was 1 o'clock, but I realized the time has gone forward for you guys. So we'll make sure we're on time again. All right, audience, thank you so much. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Okay, don't do anything I wouldn't do. All right. Listen.
Don't beg. It's disgusting.
You said don't beg, don't cry, Jackie. Black book. You know what time it is.